going on, everybody? Welcome on in here to the Auburn Undercover podcast, Auburn Undercover YouTube channel. My name is Nathan King, joined here by Jason Caldwell. The sun has come out on what is a muggy and overcast week.
First time we've had it in a couple of days.
And I was going to say, it held off for most of Auburn practice today. It was able to be a nice, cool, and overcast practice that we were, thanks to you, Freeze, were able to be out there for the entire practice session. So no shortage of notes and intel available at auburnundercover.com. But we're going to get into some of our observations today. Lots to get into, Jason. I mean, we could pretty much start anywhere. I want to start with what I thought was a great day for Jackson Arnold. I thought, and Hugh Freeze mentioned a couple days ago, this was not a practice that we saw, but I guess that was on Wednesday's practice, saying he was really, really pleased with him. Only thing he would say was that he was being a little greedy in the RPO game, but that's not necessarily a negative sometimes. But man, I thought Arnold was really, really sharp today, really decisive. You and I mentioned the last time we talked about this, his legs are continuing to be a factor. Got out and threw a block for Eric Singleton. Like we're seeing, I think, a good week for Jackson Arnold after, again, the coaching staff got on him on Saturday's practice, getting the ball out of his hands. I thought we've easily had the best day of the quarterbacks and has had a really good week so far.
Yeah, I thought he was good. I'll go the flip side. I'll go with, and we'll get into it some, but I'm going to go the front seven on defense.
Yep.
I thought
very good.
I thought they were really good today, and they did a lot of red zone stuff today, and I thought the front seven on defense had a fantastic day. I thought they were decisive, attacking. The thing that jumps out to me is that there's a bunch of guys. There's not, Hugh Freeze mentioned the other day, so look, you look out there and you don't know who's going to be which team. There were some guys that you thought might be a starter with a third group, look out in the first group, but man, the fronts, rotating guys, the linebackers getting down the hill. To me, the biggest questions I had coming into camp were defensive tackle and linebacker. And right now, I feel much better about those. Now,
I do too.
Hadn't had a scrimmage yet, but I think those positions are in much better shape than I thought they were going to be at this time in camp.
And something important to note, I thought, was what Hugh Freeze said on Wednesday was, hey, we might roll the first team offense out there and it's all our main guys. And you look on the other side, DJ Durkin's just kind of doing whatever. He's mixing guys in. We've seen those freshman linebackers. They're in there with the first team D-line. And that's just what Durkin likes to do.
Malik Autry, Jordan Crawford,
exactly.
Vontrell rolling those guys as well.
And that has given them the opportunity. Xavier Atkins just walked by, but he has been a standout player so far. I wrote about it this morning. Those young linebackers, you go back to the offseason, Hugh Freeze said, hey, I feel like we've gotten bigger, stronger, faster at linebacker. It's because of these young guys. Caleb Wheatland, I think, is a really good athlete and brings some experience, but I think the reason he said that is because of Elijah Melendez, because of Bryce Diaz, because of Xavier Atkins. These are guys where, and I think Freeze put it a good way on Saturday, when they know what to do, when they're lining up in the correct gap and they're going for it, it's lots of explosiveness from this group. And then we continue to hear, hey, Jared Smith, just another year in the weight room, he's going to be a really disruptive player. I thought Malik Blockton had a really good day at practice today. So you're right, that front seven going to be a concern. It's something you need to be good at in the SEC. But so far, we're talking about the message board. It's been tough to tell. Is the running game having some troubles, or are they just so disruptive right now on the front?
It's been the biggest surprise for me. And you go to Dallas Walker. I mean, that guy moves much better than you think he would at 360 plus. I mean, he's a guy that has some quickness to him. And Bobby James and Travis, you look at some size guy. I mean, there's guys in there that are providing a punch, and they're doing this sometimes where it's two interior, an end and a bucket. They're not playing three big guys at one time. They're playing two of those guys inside. Sometimes it's just one, and it's Keldrick Falk and Amaris or one of those guys. And so they're really getting a lot of different looks. And that's the thing I think right now is they're throwing a lot of different looks at that offensive line.
Yes.
And so it's okay, because that's the thing now. I think you look at physically the offensive line. I think if you go, hey, we're just lining up one-on-one, they're in pretty good shape. You have to learn how to play together, and that is communication, recognition, all the things you have to do. They're getting a crash course in that from that defense on the other side right now.
Yes, and you're exactly right. This is the time of camp where you start to do those things. You start to get a little bit more comfortable. Your installs go in the right way. Like when we saw Dylan Wade do a lot of snaps at center. We saw Too-Tall Miller getting reps at guard earlier in the week. So you're starting on both sides of the ball to try out different things.
We saw Dylan Senda flip to center.
Yes.
And we saw Kale Ellis flip to guard.
Yep.
This is trial and error week where you go, if we have an injury here, what's the line look like? How do we move it there? Too-Tall is a guy that's he's playing left tackle. We know he can play right tackle, but he's also looking at guard. And so this is, hey, what's it look like if this happens? What's our best option when this happens?
Yep.
This is when you do some of that.
Yeah, and you mentioned the defensive line giving lots of different looks. I was watching back the video of Chris Murray today, the Sam Houston transfer, and somebody asked him about playing a lot of different pass, Keldrick, Amaris, him, and Kieran all being on the line. His face kind of lit up. He's like, oh man, that's going to be a fun set to get after him. And stay on the injury front and talk about some positive news for Auburn this week. Jeremiah Cobb is out of a non-contact jersey. He had been in one ever since the start of the preseason. And some cornerback depth is back. We had been waiting on Rashawn Pleasant. His ankle had been turned a little bit. Donovan Starr was back out there today. Rashawn Pleasant looks really good playing on the ball. From a kick return perspective, that's going to be really big for them as well. So getting a little bit healthier. Still seeing DeMarcus Riddick for the second straight day now in that non-contact jersey. I think just, again, you know what you have with that guy. Be precautionary.
Yes. I mentioned surprise. The MVP for me in camp so far has been Jay Crawford, but the corner group as a whole.
Yeah.
I think you look at that group, to me, has been the best group so far in camp for Auburn. Whether it's, you look at Kay and Lee, but I mean, Rayon Strader had a great day today, and it is a war when it's red zone, wide receiver DB, and there's no running game, and it's just you beat that guy. It is a war, and the DBs are winning a lot of those, which they should. Now there's you don't have to worry about the run. You know what's hot. But man, that corner group especially has been really good in my opinion. Yeah,
Jay Crawford today, after practice, Jason went up to him and said, "Are you going to let anybody catch pass this preseason?" He said, Nope. Don't plan on it." I mean, there was a number of plays today in practice that were just so impressive. And like you mentioned, it's just such high level when the ball is in the air on both sides. I mean, Cam Coleman had an excellent touchdown over Kay and Lee. I think that was the video that Christian got where he comes to the bottom and he says, "I'm not letting go of it. I'm not letting go." And on the other side, could have been a touchdown, could have been a pick. Him and Jay Crawford go up for it, and it's like, man, those guys are fighting like it's the Iron Bowl.
Like it's not let go of the ball. Yeah, and so that's the thing I think is there's the competition level, and it amped up again today.
Yeah.
Scrimmage on Friday will amp up even more, but I mean, we got to see a good portion of live work today, and it was mostly ones and twos involved, but there were probably 35, 40 snaps, I would say, in that live period, other than the quarterbacks, and so we got to see a partial scrimmage today, and I thought it went pretty well.
Yeah, I would completely agree with you. If you ask me, best player in an Auburn jersey out there this preseason, regardless of classification or whatever, I mean, Jay Crawford has just been we knew he was really good last preseason, but the plays he's making on the ball, the way he's able to adjust in the air. He talked about, to your story a couple days ago, like playing with more fundamentals. It's almost hard to remember he's just a true sophomore because he was already playing as a starter as a freshman, but he's continued to work on that, and just so impressive for him this preseason. You mentioned, it was a lot of first and second team work. It was a second team day for Ashton Daniels. We saw a few days ago Deuce Knight do a lot of that. Deuce Knight was mostly with the third team. Got to catch up with Ashton after practice, a guy that we've really enjoyed talking to since he's got here. Talked a bunch. I know you talked to him in the spring. It's just a different thing for a guy like that to be able to have absorbed spring practices. Like usually you're not able to do that. He watched 3, 4, 5 practices in person. Now he didn't go and practice in them, but just a really different element. And I think you're starting to see with both him and Jackson Arnold, more competitive. They're still non-contact, but their legs are starting to become a factor in this offense. And Ashton Daniels, he just brings that different element to this offense.
He does, and I asked him too afterwards. We got done. I said, "Look, how's it been?" He goes, "Man, it's awesome. He's loving it." I said, "What about the competition level?" He's like, "Hadn't seen anything like this." And so that's telling. Now, he's at Stanford, and they hadn't been great the last couple of years, but coming from another power program to this one, and him going like, "Look, the competition level has increased." I think that's been the focus of this camp, and people are wondering like, okay, man, the offense isn't just scoring every play, and they're getting shut down. That's part of it. Yesterday they had a better day. I talked to some folks who said, "Hey, the running game was really good yesterday." Today it wasn't. Today it was the defense, and that's what you want in camp. You want that competition back and forth every day, and I think we've seen that. So I think it's been good so far.
Jason, what are you looking for in Friday's scrimmage? We talked about that's kind of my interest, is can this defensive front continue to be disruptive? Is the O-line going to maybe push through with the running game? And I would like to hear that Jackson Arnold is continuing to be sharp as well.
I think that's it. Hey, make a few plays here, avoid turnovers. But
Which they've done a really good job of so far.
The defense you want to. You want to create some, but, man, you don't want to have those turnovers in those situations on offense. So I think that's one of the things I'm looking for is how does that work? How can you do those things on offense without giving the ball over and take what the defense gives you? And I think you're right. Jackson Arnold has done a better job of that, not forcing things down the field. And you go, hey, I'll take the 6-yard run if it's there. I think that's a big deal. The other thing we saw today, I think we need to mention, is Alex McPherson kicking the ball really well.
Absolutely.
Towns Magoo had a couple of really big kicks, and so I think you look at how that's continuing to progress. I think I talked to some folks that feel like Alex is pretty comfortable from 45 in. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
I think we'll see Towns Magoo.
He's got a huge leg.
But I mean, you got about 3 options for kickoffs. I don't think we'll see Alex McPherson kick off, but I think we'll see extra points, field goals. I thought they had a pretty good day, and then they did some speed work where you kneel the ball, no timeouts left, get on the field and kick a field goal in under 10 seconds. And
Yep.
so they were able to do some of that. So a lot of work in that area too.
The old Anders Carlson whistle kick.
That's
They got that in today. Yeah, I mean, I thought on Wednesday that was maybe the best news that Hugh Freeze got up there and talked about, was because I asked him, like, we saw Alex on the sideline. He said, look, that's going to happen. Like, we're going to do that
Correct.
sometimes based on what his doctor says, based on what he's feeling, to make sure that when the season comes, he is in the best shape possible. But when he's out there and when they're putting him out there, he said, look, he's been automatic. Like, it's been a
good.
tremendous
I think,
preseason.
Yeah,
for him.
you make sure you get him to the season. You want him to kick enough.
Yeah, you know what he can do.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So strength-wise, keep him strength, hydrated, all those things that you have to do with him. But I think you're looking, I thought, pretty solid day for them in the kicking game department. So a lot of moving parts to a full practice that you get to see
For sure.
that we haven't gotten to see much of lately. So again, appreciate Hugh Freeze and the staff for letting us hang out for a day.
Absolutely. And you'd kind of mentioned it. This is the part of camp where you start to react to what the other side of the ball is doing and see what it looks like when the bullets start flying, as opposed to the very beginning of camp, install on both sides of the ball. Hugh Freeze mentioned, like, the scripted plays. You're going a little bit off that right now,
Yeah.
and seeing what do you look like, what do your instincts look like on both sides of the ball. And so that will obviously take shape in the biggest form we've seen so far in the scrimmage. So we'll have all we can from the scrimmage on Friday. Of course, it'll be closed off there in Jordan-Hare Stadium, but we'll try to get you guys some information. Been a great day of information over at auburnundercover.com. Be sure to go check it out. We're still running our 50% off promo, so if you're not a subscriber, it's the best time of year to do it. We've had a super fun time at camp so far. So for Jason Caldwell, I'm Nathan King. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening today, and we'll talk to y'all soon.